Gunshots ripped through the silent forest, tearing apart the night's fragile peace. Raja, the majestic tiger, roared in defiance, blood dripping from his wounded paw as he fought to protect his terrified cubs. But just when hope seemed lost, something unexpected shattered the darkness. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Ethan's days had always been measured by the subtle rhythms of the forest, the rustle of leaves in the early morning, the distant call of hawks, the slow, deliberate steps of Raja stalking through the underbrush. The tiger's presence was a living heartbeat beneath the canopy, a thread that wove Ethan's world together. He knew Raja's habits, his favorite watering holes, even the faint scar that ran across the tiger's left flank, a silent testimony to battles fought and survived. This connection was more than fascination. It was respect forged over countless hours spent hidden in shadows, camera poised, heart steady. But the forest was changing. At first, Ethan noticed broken branches, snares crudely hidden beneath dead leaves, footprints that didn't belong to any known animal. Then came the unmistakable echoes of human cruelty, rifle shots, harsh voices cutting through the serene wilderness. The presence of Marcus Doyle and his crew was like a poison seeping into the veins of the land. Ethan's anger was a fierce flame, not just because of the threat to Raja, but because these men represented a violation of everything Ethan believed in. To him, the forest was sacred, a sanctuary for life, not a hunting ground for desperation and greed. Marcus, for all his ruthlessness, was no cartoon villain. Ethan understood the weight that drove the man, years of failed attempts to provide, of losing everything to a world that showed no mercy. But it was that very desperation that made Marcus dangerous. His mind was hardened by survival's cruel calculus. Every tiger taken meant another debt erased, another meal put on the table. He saw Raja's strength as a commodity, not a legacy. Ethan's attempts to alert the authorities were met with frustrating delays and vague promises. Local officials, wary of stirring conflict or perhaps compromised by unseen interests, moved sluggishly, allowing the poachers precious time to close in. The wilderness that had once felt like a protector now seemed fragile, its defenses eroding under the shadow of human greed. Now, Ethan stood on the precipice of something he never imagined, a battle for survival that was no longer just about the camera's lens, but about protecting a family, both his own and Raja's. Every step into the forest was charged with tension. Every shadow could conceal danger. The lines between man and beast blurred as Ethan realized that to save Raja, he would have to fight with the same fierce spirit that made the tiger a legend. The night was suffocating, heavy with a thick silence that felt more like a shroud than peace. Ethan crouched behind a fallen log, breath shallow, every nerve taut with dread. The forest, usually a sanctuary of whispered life and gentle shadows, was now a battlefield. Somewhere nearby, the muffled clinks of metal and low murmurs signaled the poacher's approach, but Ethan's eyes were fixed on the faint gleam of eyes. Raja's family, trapped and vulnerable under the cold wash of moonlight. Suddenly the night shattered. Gunfire cracked like thunder, echoing through the trees, sending a flock of terrified birds into the sky in a frantic blur of wings and chaos. Raja's roar tore through the cacophony, a sound both terrifying and heartbreaking, an echo of raw fury and desperate protection. Ethan's heart pounded as he saw the tiger launch forward, muscles rippling beneath striped fur, eyes blazing with a fierce determination to shield his cubs. Each swipe of Raja's powerful paws was a gamble, a desperate attempt to stave off the relentless assault. But the poachers were ruthless, advancing with cold precision, their weapons trained and unyielding. Bullets tore through leaves and bark, ripping the sanctuary apart piece by piece. Ethan felt the sting of each gunshot in his chest, a physical echo of the pain tearing through his soul. The cubs, frantic and confused, huddled close to their mother, who bled but refused to yield. The sight was unbearable. Beauty and innocence caught in a merciless trap, fighting for breath under the weight of human greed. The threat was no longer distant. It had crossed into Ethan's world. His family's safety trembled on a knife's edge. Marcus Doyle's men had already marked Ethan as a threat, a meddler who endangered their dark enterprise. Laura's voice, trembling with fear, pleaded with him to flee, to save their children from a nightmare that was unfolding beyond their control. But Ethan's resolve only deepened. He could not abandon Raja, not when the tiger fought with a courage that mirrored his own, not when the stakes had become so painfully, devastatingly clear. In the midst of the chaos, a fragile spark of hope kindled. From the shadows emerged familiar faces, villagers who had silently watched Ethan's struggle, whose hearts beat with the same fierce love for the forest. Leading them was Maria, her eyes hard with grief, yet shining with fierce determination, a woman shaped by loss and fueled by a relentless drive for justice. Together, they were no longer isolated in their fight. United, their resolve became a blade sharper than any bullet, ready to cut through the darkness threatening to consume them all. The forest held its breath as the final confrontation unfolded, a symphony of tension, strategy, and raw determination that pulsed through every branch and leaf. Ethan moved with deliberate precision, orchestrating a complex web of traps and distractions alongside the villagers, each act born from a deep knowledge of the land and a shared urgency to protect what remained sacred. The poachers, once arrogant and methodical in their cruelty, found themselves ensnared in a landscape turned against them. Every step forward was met with resistance, every calculated move countered by the resilience of those who refused to surrender. Amid this chaos, Raja emerged, majestic, terrifying, the embodiment of the wild's indomitable spirit. His arrival was not just a physical presence, but a seismic shift in the balance of power. The tiger's roar shattered the night, like a primal declaration, reverberating through the dense canopy and sending a shockwave of fear crashing through the poacher's ranks. Muscles rippled beneath striped fur as Raja stalked forward, eyes burning with a protective fury honed by years of survival. The poachers faltered, their confidence unraveling in the face of a force that was neither man nor machine, but raw nature fighting to reclaim its own. Marcus Doyle, once a looming shadow of menace, was finally exposed in the stark light of defeat. His greed, once masked by cold calculation, lay bare, every cruelty and every desperate act stripped down by the unyielding pursuit of justice. The evidence painstakingly gathered by Ethan and Maria formed an unbreakable chain binding the poachers to accountability. The law moved swiftly, but the victory transcended legalities. It was a triumph of spirit, community, and the unbreakable bond between man and the wild. In the wake of the battle, the forest breathed a tentative sigh of relief. Raja's family, once cornered and endangered, now roamed freely beneath the sun-dappled canopy, their movements a testament to survival and hope. Ethan's family, scarred but unbroken, found solace in the dawn of a new beginning, one shaped by courage, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to protect life in all its forms. This was no longer a solitary fight. The struggle had transformed into a movement, an enduring testament to the strength born from love and defiance against oppression. Ethan, galvanized by the tiger's fierce protection and the community's unyielding support, pledged himself to a cause greater than survival, raising a voice loud enough to inspire change, a call that would echo far beyond their small town and ripple into the hearts of all who dared to stand for the vulnerable, wild, and human alike.